Berardi Immigration Law is a great resource for the latest in immigration news and trends. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel. It really helps out the channel. And click that notification bell so you never miss a video from Berardi Immigration Law.
All right, you guys, in this video, what we're going to be discussing is how do I classify my company as a blanket L company? So first, let me just back up and say, when a company receives blanket L classification, what happens is they get this approval notice from USCIS that lists all the foreign and domestic subsidiaries of a company. It shows how they're related, and then it shows how they're related to each other. And those entities that are listed represent all the foreign subsidiaries or branches or affiliates that a company wishes to actually transfer key personnel from to the United States. So a company might have 100 different subsidiaries, but only want 5 or 6 of them to actually transfer people. That's fine. You only need to have those 5 or 6 companies listed. You are not required to list every single foreign entity, only the ones that you really think you're going to need to transfer people from. Okay, so how do we get this approval notice? Well, we have to see first, does the company itself qualify for blanket L status? And there's a few factors at play here. Well, first, we have to show the companies are engaged in commercial trade or services. Next, we have to show they've been engaged in such trade or services for at least 1 full year. We have to show that there are at least 3 domestic or foreign subsidiaries, affiliates, or branch offices. And then finally, one of the following 3 must be met, only one. You either have at least 1,000 employees in the United States, you have annual sales of at least 25 million in the US, or you can show that in the last 12 months you've had at least 10 L-1 approvals. So then if you decide, yes, we meet all of those factors, what's the next step? Well, you have to file an I-129 petition with USCIS, United States Citizenship and Immigration Service. And in this package, you are providing definitive evidence that we, in fact, meet all of this criteria that we just discussed. And what every filing must include, above all, besides the forms and the letters of support, we have to provide evidence that the following is true. That the companies from which you seek to transfer employees are in fact affiliated to the U.S. sponsoring entity. So if you have a very nuanced relationship between the OPCO, let's say in France that you're transferring someone from, and the OPCO in the U.S. you're transferring them to, you're going to have to show every single chain of ownership on that hierarchical chart. That structure, that company structure chart, you're going to have to show how each of those relationships work. And by the way, anything that's in a foreign language, you guessed it, must be accompanied by an English translation. So you could see where this can get arduous and could take a bit of time when we're putting together these applications. So again, we have to show, number 1, these companies are affiliated. The next thing we have to be able to show is that each entity themselves is doing business. So some common items that we might want to show are tax returns or audited financial statements for the foreign entity for the last year, showing that they are engaged in commercial trade or services. But if that doesn't exist, or it would be too arduous to obtain or to translate, there are other options that we have. Maybe 3 months of bank statements from each entity showing that the entity themselves has cash in the bank and there's transactions happening. We could have 12 months of invoices sent by the company to its various customers showing that it's actively doing business. We could have vendor contracts that they have set up with their vendors to show that there's an ongoing need to use outside services to be able to provide their own services to their clients. The list can go on, and you can be a bit creative, but do be prepared for an argument from USCIS if you don't provide this information requested. One other thing, just going back to the ownership change and inclusive of our conversation of doing business, gone are the days where we can present simply a affidavit from a commercial or from a corporate officer in the companies attesting to the fact these companies are all related in this way, and these companies are actively doing business. USCIS says not good enough. We need the actual hard proof to be able to demonstrate that that in fact is true. So next what happens is once we put together this full petition, we then ship it off to USCIS, which you can also submit with premium processing. The filing fee is $460 plus a $500 filing fee. And then there is a additional $2,500 optional premium processing fee if you want to get an answer in 15 calendar days. If you do get a response in 15 calendar days, or if you're through the regular processing within a matter of a few months, it's either going to be an outright approval or it's going to be a request for evidence where the government is asking for additional information and documentation to verify that, in fact, that entity is capable of getting blanket L status. But assuming you've dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's, you will result in a 3-year approval. And this will result in a 3-year approval. And for renewal applications, you can actually request an indefinite approval period, which means that so long as that corporate structure remains accurate, that blanket classification will go on indefinitely into the future until you submit an application to amend that application if you have new entities that needed to be added to the list or other entities that need to be removed from the list. All right, you guys, so that's it for talking about how to get blanket L status. Our next video is going to be about, well, we got blanket L status. Now what do we do with all these employees who seek blanket L status themselves?
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like our video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and hit that notification button so you never miss one of these important updates. Also, check out the Berardi blog that's on our website at berardiimmigrationlaw.com. The blog is updated 2 to 3 times a week, contains tons of up-to-date information on policies and trends. You won't want to miss it.